So Elizabeth Hunt, welcome to Memory Lane.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
So you run and own your own boutique sales, lettings agency, estate agency.
Sales, lettings and property management, yeah.
And you've had that for 14 years, is that right?
Yes, yeah.
Excellent. And you kind of, from what I remember when we chatted before, you kind of worked before for two big, more corporate agencies that we might all know on the high street.
Yes.
And you maybe learned how you didn't want to do business.
You're 100% correct.
And that inspired you to set up your own agency.
It did. For me, one of my very formative jobs was working for an independent agent.
Yeah.
And just to have the autonomy to operate independently outside of a corporate network is really what I strive to be able to do, and hopefully have achieved with setting up Elizabeth Hunt and Associates to make sure that clients are looked after in the way I think they should be looked after.
Okay, so there was something there, was there, about some experiences that you had that made you want to do things differently?
Absolutely. I think property is very personal. It's a very bespoke thing. You want to know that somebody is going to be on that journey with you. And we should be looking after them, not them having to fit a corporate mould.
So it's more about the people,
Yes.
the human
Absolutely.
element.
It's the human element.
It's hugely emotional, isn't it?
Oh my goodness.
Home,
You know,
so
any home move of any description has so many emotions attached to it, because it might be exciting times that you're getting married and you're having a family and you're going up the ladder, but equally there are times where there might be circumstances that such that there's a divorce or a bereavement, or simply that, you know, monies need to be realised and debt needs to be paid. So there can be all sorts of parameters of dealing with that.
So when we chatted before, you said, there's not much I haven't seen. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, that's right. There's not much. I've been doing this now for 30 years and every day's a learning day.
Yeah.
So my very first interview, the lady who interviewed me said, there is never a day that you'll stop learning. And she's absolutely right. 30 years down the line, nothing phases me anymore. Nothing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What's the most jaw-dropping experience you say? Maybe even from your previous life before you had your own business.
There are so many things, from calls from tenants at 2:00 in the morning to say, my fire alarm's going off, what do I do? Don't call me, call the fire brigade, get out of the building. Why are you calling me? My light bulb needs changing, can you come and do that? I mean, it's all sorts of different reasons. We've had, some people are very particular about certain items that they want to take with them out of a property. We've had times where down to a curtain tie back has almost scuppered a sale, because it becomes down to how people want to behave, and it becomes a principle. No, I want to take those curtain ties with me. Even though I'm leaving the curtains, I'll take the curtain ties. So, you know, you have to be prepared to roll with the punches and work out how you're going to deal with it.
And that's all about managing people's emotions, isn't it, really?
Property is all about managing people's emotions. It's all about people. It's all about that personal interaction.
So it has nothing to do with the houses, really. It's pretty much, you know.
But I think
it's
even when you go and see a property, you can see it on paper, you can see it on a portal, but nothing is the same as going and seeing a property. You walk in through that property and you go, that feels right.
Yeah, it's a feeling.
It's a feeling. I can't sell the feeling. That nobody else can sell the feeling.
Yeah.
You can try and stage it and make it look as good as you can. But if you don't have that feeling when you walk in through the door, I'm not gonna change that.
So you said your agency is sort of built really on integrity and trust.
Yes.
Which makes sense from what you've just been saying. So how does that look like in practice?
it's about us share, and it's the transparency as well. We will tell you what we think. We will always be transparent and honest, and we will always tell you as much information as we can do that. And it's the same not only for our clients, the vendors, but it's also for our purchasers. And we will tell people there are some things we can't say about other offers that we've received, but we will tell them exactly where we're at with the property, and we will be as transparent as we possibly can. We're not in the realms of hiding things, fabricating offers, trying to mislead people. It's just not worth it. We will be transparent.
Because sort of in a sector where that it is known for that, isn't it? Estate agency, unfortunately. I know there are lots of good people out there like you.
There are lots of good people out there, and I'm not saying I'm the best estate agent on the planet. We just like to do things that are a bit differently. But we work on a parameter that we will deliver honest advice. You might not want to hear our advice, and it may not be something that you want to hear, but I'm doing it and delivering where we can see the market. I'm not delivering it and dressing it up with a bow because I think that's what you're going to want to hear, because I'm trying to appease somebody else within my company.
That's the problem, isn't it? That's why it's a hard sector to be transparent in, because you're managing two different parties, and also that's how they make their money a lot of the time when you work for an agency.
Bottom line
so
is,
they're just going for that.
It's a commission.
So unless that commission kind of setup changes, it's very hard to change the culture.
It's a very, very hard culture to change, and I could stand on my soapbox for a very long time, and I don't know how you change it. But I think if you're, to my mind, putting a property on at an inflated price, managing expectations down, doing all of that, it's not the advice that my clients want to hear. If I've just said to you, you're dealing with people's emotions and they're making transactional details because of that, they're upsizing or downsizing, they need to know something that's going to work. So if I'm upsizing, am I going to get this? Can I afford the dynamics in terms of how can I increase my mortgage or whatever? If I'm downsizing, I want to capitalise my asset. So if I'm going to do that, can I then afford to buy and live and do what I need to do? Or if I'm telling you that the property is worth X, but I'm only going to receive Y, that changes the dynamic. I can't sell it if I can only get Y. And that doesn't work on those multiples and where you're going.
So your personalised approach must mean that you have a really high level of recommendation.
Our business is primarily recommendation. So to give you an example, we have just taken on a property for sale in central London. We're based in Effingham, and our background is Effingham. And she could have chosen a lot of high street agents. Which she did, and she's come back to me because of a conversation that we had 7 years ago and said, can you please handle it for me? We're delighted to handle it for her, and yes, we will do it because we know that it's a bespoke service that we're going to offer. So roll on central London.
There you go.
That's what you've got your eyes on.
Well, I don't want to take over the world, just don't want a little piece of it.
Step by step.
So when people kind of, I guess, have their homes valued, they're going to get these different valuations in. Some are inflated because they just want them to sign the dotted line, and they hope that
time them in for 4 months,
unrealistic is figures, and they're going to think, brilliant.
Yes.
So then you come in, more realistic.
They might not necessarily want to hear that.
Yeah.
That's
like
the problem.
your advice, really,
no, absolutely. But they might come back to us and revisit where they're going to be at and talk to us about it. And you mostly know how much your property is worth. It's human nature not to think that it might not be worth a bit more, but ultimately you know what it's worth. So it's about having a conversation and how we can achieve that. And it's market forces that we can't change, really. We've got to work within those parameters.
So when you kind of look back on the days that you were in when you first started working as a estate agent, it's obviously a really different business that you run now.
Yes, very, very different.
To the businesses that you joined.
I hope that I am the same version of myself when I started, which is maybe why I then have evolved it to set up on my own.
Was there a pivotal moment that you can look back and something happened and you thought, right, that's it? Because it's a big thing to start your own business, start your own estate agency.
It is a big thing. And I'll tell you what, I was 45. I think my husband said to me, either put up and shut up or do something about it. And at that point I did. And I was going to go into business with a business partner, and I could get the funding, she couldn't. And so that changed. And I remember my husband saying to me in December, how do you feel about doing this on your own? I said, that light's too bright now. I have to go for it. And so I set up in March 2011, and that was it. I haven't looked back.
Yeah.
No, I really haven't looked back.
Yeah.
And I think my father was quite entrepreneurial. My husband ran his own business. He gave me the full support in terms of, you can do this. And I had a lot of friends who said, you can do this.
How great to have that support
Oh,
around
massive,
you,
massive,
push you into it.
massive. And I started initially as lettings, and then subsequently I brought on my business partner, Paolo, who covers the sales. But he's worked now for the company for 7-8 years, and prior to that we were sort of working in association with one another anyway. So he's a great work husband.
You got to see a lot of each other, I'm sure.
You mostly see a lot of your work colleagues. Yes.
Yeah.
Spend a lot of time in work.
You do, yeah.
This is true.
Yeah.
I was going to ask something else and I've forgotten what it is now.
Well, I'll ask, because I
Go on.
don't know if I know this. What got you into estate agency in the first place?
You could say that I was just inherently nosy and like talking to
I can
different people
understand
and
that.
seeing people's houses. When people say to me, "Oh, I've just moved. Can I come have a look?" I say, "Can I go and see the rest of it? I don't just want to see your kitchen. I want to see
show me around.
everything.
I want a tour."
Yes, exactly. I want a full tour." I think I've always, prior to getting into property, worked in and around the property sector, whether it was in interior design but I always wanted to get into property. And for me, I went into lettings rather than sales because I enjoyed more of the legalities and the tenancy agreements and the ramifications of all that, which is a little bit more than perhaps a sale. Although don't take it away from the fact that most sales agents do actually know as much as solicitors when it comes to dealing with transactions, because they will have seen all sorts of different scenarios that they've had to handle.
So many things can go wrong, can't they? And
so just inherently nosy is really the answer to your question.
yeah, I can understand that. I mean, lots of people in property say anyway, no matter where you end up, start being an estate agent. Just give it a go. Just do it for 6 months, and
Absolutely.
you might move on to something else.
Yeah.
But it's a great way to learn and get a feel for it, and being nosy.
I get that.
Yeah.
I always feel like I just want to knock on people's doors and can I just have a little look around?
Yeah, well, one of the nicest times to walk around, especially in London, is just as it's starting to get dark at about 4 or 5 o'clock, and you see the lights on, you're like, oh, I want to see what that's like.
That looks nice. You just see.
But there's so many houses that you go, what's that like inside?
Yeah, exactly. And have you, thinking about that then, have you ever had a house and you've spied it in Surrey and you've thought, I want to go in there, and then they've called you and said,
I have.
Do you want to come and value it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the most beautiful period property just off the high street in Cobham. It's a stunning Grade 2 listed property, and it really is something special. And I was called into it, and I let it, so that was really nice. Lovely house.
Fun.
Yeah,
That is really good.
So let's go back to the 90s, shall we?
Showing my age. Yes, that was 90s.
The 90s were a
yes,
great era.
they were.
And also the 90s in Clapham,
Yes,
which weren't were very different to what it is around there now. But that's where you
Massively
bought your first apartment. Tell us about that.
So I was renting in Fulham at the time, and back in the 90s, which was where everybody, the slony days of property, and everybody wanted to be in Fulham. The reality was that I didn't have a Fulham budget. I had a south of the river budget, and nobody went south of the river. Anyway, I did go south of the river. The draw of having a second bedroom that gave me the possibility of renting it out, and a garden I was able to get it, as it turned out, in what is now a very nice area just off Northcote Road, which was, Nappy Valley and all the rest of it has become very trendy. So yes, that was a two bedroom garden flat, which I bought for 101,000.
That's
a 2
amazing.
bedroom, 2 bathroom garden flat with a cellar.
Have you ever gone back to see what it's worth now?
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
It is proportionately worth more, obviously, given where it is. But I think as property people, you start on the bottom rung, and then you work your way up. So yes, it was a fabulous stepping stone for where we were at, and I saw, given the 90s, the interest rates go up, and I shared a flat to make ends meet, all of those bits. So it was a great flat and a great location.
So did you buy during, obviously, the infamous interest rate rise?
I bought it just before, and my very pragmatic father said, "You do realise that interest rates go up as well as down." Luckily, I could cover the interest rates going up as well as down. And I was working in South Kensington at the time, and as I said, I had a flatmate, so it was much easier to make ends meet.
So you rented out your second bedroom?
I did, yeah. Interest rates went up to 14 or 15%, and at the time there were a lot of people who were faced with actually having to have their houses were being repossessed. So before they were repossessed, they were literally posting their keys back through the door and just vacating.
Just walking away.
Can you imagine? You walk it, because the negative equity was such that you were paying for something you were never going to get back, so they just posted their keys back through the door.
And that's it.
That's it.
And
you
they just moved on.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The heartbreak involved.
Homes are so emotional. So you imagine having to take that decision when it, if you're doing it with yourself, never mind if you're doing it with your family.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a massive thing to walk away from.
And how do you rebuild yourself after that? Where do you go?
Yeah, massive rebuild.
You're kind of not even just starting again from beginning. You're kind of starting from down here.
You have to start literally from scratch.
Yeah.
And you have no idea how long it's going to go on for either, do you? So you have to just make that leap if it's not working. Yeah, really
14%.
hard. Oh gosh, can you imagine? The outcry of us all having to jump from 2 to 5%.
Exactly. So if you imagine where we are now, where post-COVID the interest rates started creeping back up, and people were faced with mortgage rates doubling. You imagine if it suddenly crept up to that kind of level all over again. I mean, it's effectively doubling if we're into 4 or 5%, which is probably where they're going to settle. And that's probably where they will end up settling. But at 14 or 15%, that was
my gosh,
outrageous.
Do you
not outrageous, but just people couldn't make ends meet.
Did you see the signs of that bubbling? Sort of, obviously you working in the industry at the time. Did you expect that interest rates?
It was before I was working in the industry. I was just experiencing it as a homeowner myself. I was lucky enough that being able to let out a room, I could make ends meet. But it was hard. It was really hard.
So that gave you a bit of an edge, maybe.
Yeah. So maybe I was
extra income.
Absolutely.
Because also in those days, to start off with, you could do the self-certified mortgage thing, so people didn't have.
Yeah, they probably came in a little bit later. I think
we might do now.
Yeah. And now mortgage companies are really stress testing mortgages.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important because they don't want a repeat of what happened before.
Yeah.
So what happened after this property? Where did you go?
So after this property, I bought with my my husband, fiance as he was then, we bought a house in Earlsfield, so we moved a bit further out.
So you sold the flat.
Sold the flat. We tidied it all the way through.
And were you working in a estate agency then?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
No, I wasn't. But I went away and did a ski season, so I let the flat out.
And you learnt some things.
And I learnt some things about that. More importantly, the importance of an inventory. Because being somebody who was literally trying to tidy up all the costs and not spend too much in order to be able to let it out, thought that I could do my own inventory, you know, sitting room, painted cream carpets, sofa, you know, nothing that had any detail about a mark, what kind of sofas it were, you know, all. And so when I came back to the flat 8 months later, things were missing, things had died in the garden, you know, and I had no recourse to their deposit because the inventory wasn't good enough. So it was and I use that analogy a lot with my clients. Do not underestimate. The tenancy agreement's important for the legalities, but the inventory is just important because it's the condition and the documentation of your property. So yeah, that was important.
So what do you now list within it if you were doing inventory?
Inventories is outsourced to a specific inventory clerk, and it probably runs to about 200 pages.
Wow.
That sounds really tedious.
I haven't got the detail for that.
No,
I really
cope with
don't.
that. I can.
And the clerk that I use is very detailed and very anal, and it's fantastic.
You need to be, don't you?
You need to be.
a certain type of person to do that job.
Absolutely.
You do. You need to be that certain kind of person. Yeah.
Okay, so that is of prime importance, and you learnt that kind of.
I learnt that yes, even before I was in the industry, and it was when I came back from doing a ski sim that I started in lettings, and that was my first foray into.
That's
into
a brilliant
lettings.
example of learning from your mistakes, isn't it?
Oh,
perfect.
Huge. Yeah, you won't ever forget it.
No.
Ever forget it, yeah.
Especially when it happens directly.
I think when it becomes very personal, then
Yeah.
it is something that's really important. Really important.
So then you moved to.
Then we moved to Earlsfield, so we went a little bit further out, again taking the same analogy of, you know, trying to, I think as estate agent was being asked, where's the next big, you know, growth? Is it here? Is it Sussex? Is it Surrey? Is it, you know, north of the river, south of the river, or postcodes? Anyway, we bought a little flat house. It was a terraced house, one of 5 terraced houses, and it had a certain amount of development potential because the bathroom was downstairs. So we looked at it, and we'd been looking at various different places. We were getting married. We knew we'd be starting a family and doing all of those things. So, and people always say to me, this is my checklist for when I want to buy a property. It's got to have X amount of bedrooms, X amount of bathrooms. I need this, an eat-in kitchen. I want a garden. It has to be south facing. Well, we found a kitchen that wasn't eat-in, had a ground floor bathroom, which definitely people didn't want. And it had a northwest facing garden. So we mixed it all up a bit, and we did a loft extension, moved the bathroom upstairs, made our eat-in kitchen, and the northwest facing garden that we bought, by the time we'd done it, got more sun in the afternoon because it was just west facing, and actually we doubled our money, which inside 3 years was the way the market was going, and really set the tone for where we have built our property portfolio from that, or not our, that's how, but where our homes have gone forward from.
So
from
that
that
kind of combination of
right
area,
right time,
and developing
market with it,
like
and developing it, and just being able to do that made a huge difference.
That's the kind of property everybody needs in their life. Just that one.
It really is just that one that you can set. But it's important, I think, that sometimes it's not everything it is on paper. It
Yeah.
is about that. It goes back to that feeling.
Yeah.
Goes back to that feeling that you know it's going to.
Yeah, so even though you walked in there, the bathroom was downstairs.
Bathroom was
You
downstairs.
just still,
and it
you still
wasn't-
had that
still
feeling.
had that. I
That
thought
happens,
we could do that. You know, and I think between myself and my husband, he's got a very good creative vision, so we could see where that was going to go.
Yeah, you had the vision for
Yeah.
it.
So did you have the bug to want to do that again, or did it?
We did. We then went on and bought another house. I think I might have had a mad 5 minutes when I was. I think I sold it and instructed solicitors the day before I had my daughter. So you do some mad things when you're pregnant. Yeah.
Never make a big
That's
decision.
like extreme nesting, isn't it? I suppose.
Yes, it is extreme.
Sort
nesting.
everything
Yes,
out.
exactly. I mean, I bought a random orange duvet cover, but mate, that's we can park
That's a
that one.
small-
But movie, yes.
In
but
comparison.
in comparison, instructing solicitors the day before your daughter's born is a bit random. Anyway,
That is a bit, yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah.
moving when she was 6 weeks old, but
That is a bit crazy.
anyway, yeah.
Because that babies and moving often come sort of hand
They do,
in hand.
don't
That's
they?
the nature
Yeah.
of it,
New babies.
isn't
Yes.
it? So what do you do when people come to you with this lovely checklist of everything they want, the south-facing garden, the X amount of veg, and the word compromise has to come up?
It does. And it is always that word compromise, and everybody has to be prepared to compromise. I don't care when it comes in.
I think
It's a
it
compromise.
takes you a while to realise that, though, when you have to look at some places first
You do, don't you?
and then think, okay.
So
I'll
I
give up.
always
She's right.
ask people
Yeah.
for what their ideals are, and then we start, and it's the start of a relationship and a conversation. That goes back to what I was saying. It's about people and finding out what works, what doesn't. It may be a partner who's saying something, maybe somebody who's just categorically not going to do that, and then you start, it's all part of the mix, and you start talking and you start going through it, and you work it out.
So you learn an awful lot about your clients, don't you?
Huge.
You must
And
know them very well.
a lot more than they would perhaps want us to know sometimes.
Yeah, because also what it's making me think of, when you're, friend, whatever, relationship, working relationship, if you go through something difficult together, which you do when you're moving house, there will be things that come up and go wrong.
Yes.
And then you work through it and you keep going, it
Yeah.
kind of strengthens the relationship.
Absolutely.
So you're in a position to kind of create some really strong bonds with people.
Well,
on
I
that
think
journey.
if I look at the client portfolio, whether it's lettings or sales, some of the clients that we've dealt with are almost pre-exist me starting the business. So they've come. I've known them from prior to starting the business, and they will kind of still come and talk. And
you knew that when you
chat
worked at the other
yes,
estate agent.
so they will come. They will come
remembered
back.
you
Yes,
specifically,
absolutely.
personally.
And it's always hard when you it's always hard when you start. You think, right, okay, the advent of the internet, because when I first started, the internet didn't really exist. It was a Rolodex and a typewriter.
Shop windows, and that's where you had
We had a
listings.
fax machine, yes, exactly, and you stuck photos on to property details and sent them out. Now you can run a business from a phone, and you've got the portals and everything else. But it still comes down to people. That's the bottom line.
Totally.
Yeah.
And isn't going back to the compromise, isn't it amazing, at whatever price level, there's always a compromise, isn't there?
If you think I've got an amazing budget here, there's always something.
There's always something. Isn't there? Yeah.
If you're looking at the top end, well, that doesn't have a swimming pool, or it hasn't got a gym, or the floors aren't solid, or I want it to be a private acre plot. I'm not prepared to accept half an acre. It always happens.
Good point.
It always happens.
Yeah.
That's a bit depressing, isn't it?
That was a little bit, wasn't it? So where are we? We're at Earlsfield, aren't we?
We're at Earlsfield, yes.
So what happened after?
Gosh,
this
you
property?
ladies are going to know my entire life story.
Well, we
We're
only
only picking the two houses, but
Yeah,
I think
we've
we needed
done
that
two.
Earlsfield in the middle.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
it's so the sale of our property that we moved the bathroom and created a nice home and moved to another property. We were able in 2006 to effectively turn our what was then our third home into what I hope will be our forever home. never say never in property, but that's our forever home. And we were talking about lists of wishes. And in this particular instance, the client was my husband, and his wishes were, if we're going to move to the country, I want to make sure that it's rural enough.
Okay.
And he wants to make sure that he could move around his house and walk out of the back door naked and not upset anybody. Luckily, we tick that box. And we have been there for nearly 20 years, and I don't think we are going to move anytime soon. So it's a very special little bit of Effingham that we
How
have.
amazing. And thinking, when we go back to when we're talking about compromises, I bet you've never had that on the list before. Have to be able to...
I've never heard that before. Yes.
But I can sort of see where he was coming from.
The privacy.
Yeah.
Just to have a space
That
that you
freedom.
can relax in is yours.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
vista
He
of
wanted
just,
that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Lovely. So we always ask every guest at the end to wrap it up to think of 3 words that remind them of home, that they most connect home to.
3 words.
So it can be anything. Take your time. We've had all sorts of.
Did you put me on the spot specifically, or did I even give you 3 words
No,
when
you
we talked
haven't.
about? Oh my goodness.
Or
3
What 3 words, what does home mean to you?
Yeah, what home means. Yeah.
Home for me is family, entertaining, and just that feeling of I'm home.
The feeling of
That's nice.
That kind of, it's nice to go away,
Yeah.
but when you come home, it's like putting on those really lovely things. You're like, my bed,
Yes.
I'm home. All those little bits and pieces that remind you of, a life that you've built up together.
That's lovely.
Perfect.
I like that. We haven't had a sound effect before, and I think that really
No,
works, doesn't
yeah.
it? It just summarises it. That's good. Okay, well, thank you so much for being part of our podcast. It's been great having you on and hearing about your 2/3 homes.
And
Yes.
congratulations
journey.
with your 14-year-old business. That's
Oh,
amazing.
Thank you very much for
Congratulations.
asking me. I feel really honoured to be here. It really is very nice. Talk
Has it been
about
fun?
Yeah, it has. I can talk about me and what I love, and that's the bottom line. It is what I love.
Well, it shows.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it does.
thanks
Yeah.
very much.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of Memory Lanes.
This podcast is brought to you by the Oracle Group and Define Creative.